Well, after 5 episodes, it would seem the villain of the season has finally been introduced. Hey guys, Hammer vs. Supergirl, Season 2, Episode 5, Crossfire, and I was definitely looking forward to this episode. I have been absolutely loving this season, just everything that they've been doing, I think has been a huge improvement over last season, and you guys know, I was someone who was a fan of last season. This season for me is just doing a lot more in terms of character, in terms of dynamics, and just the amount of stuff they can do. It's a lot different when you're on the CW than when you're on CBS, and I think CW is just serving them better. But let's just get into this episode, because I really did love this episode overall. A lot of great stuff in this episode. I think this episode, we got more for James to do, and like I said, it seems we finally got introduced to the villain of the season. It also looks like we're going this very interesting direction with Alex's character, which I really like. But let's just get in this episode because a lot to talk about. Definitely really did like it overall. Liked it slightly better than last week's. I think last week's was a little bit more messier. There was just so much going on. And this episode, there was stuff going on. I just felt like it was a little bit more focused and it was a little bit easier to, there wasn't too much going on. Also, no Snapper, really, which I was happy about. I'm not really a fan of that character. But let's just get in this episode. I love the way the episode starts because something Supergirl has always done so well are their montages. They know how to have fun with montages. They know how to use them really well. And the montage of Kara getting Mon-El ready for his first day of work at Catco was pretty funny. I mean, you see that he's trying to find a shirt to wear. There isn't a shirt that fits him, so it takes a while for that to happen. She finally does find him a shirt, and we realize he's actually going under the alias of Mike, and that in case he wants to, take on crime fighting someday. This isn't something that he's thinking about right now, but in case he wants to be a superhero and fight alongside Kara, he has a name, he has an identity that he obviously doesn't want to expose, so I thought that was good. I also like the way she talked about how the glasses cover them up and how it's really a symbol for them. Just a really good scene overall. I like the way that started out, and I think Melissa Benoist and the actor that plays Mon-El, I can't think of his name right now, but they have very good chemistry. So Mike makes an impression on James, and James assisting quickly, but he seems a bit confused about how this whole secret identity thing works. He also doesn't know how phones work, which, again, is something they're playing around with really well this season. The fact that Mon-El is very uneducated when it comes to the ways of Earth, and he didn't understand how a phone worked and everything. He thought it was like a bell. I thought that was pretty funny. And also he has a social security number now. He doesn't really understand how that all works. It makes us worried, but it also makes us really excited. I like what they've been doing with their interactions overall, and I think it's been fun to see Mon-El and Kara working together. It's honestly been one of my favorite parts of this season so far, is their interactions, because again, if this was season 1, these two characters would be pitted against each other. Mon-El would be working with, Astra right now. I mean, I don't think Mon-El would be working alongside Kara. I think he would have been working on opposite sides, and I like that instead he is working with Kara, and he's not nearly as smart as her. I like the way that that's going. He almost blurts out a social security number. He almost flies away for coffee. But he's also, he sees that James isn't really that intimidating. I think it perfectly sets up where Mike is going to go. I really do like that overall, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with this character as the show goes on. So then we see Maggie and Alex, who they're bonding over drinks at the Alien Bar. Maggie mentions that her girlfriend broke up with her, and she gets into moody in a hurry, and I like the direction they're going with Maggie and Alex, because I really couldn't tell, does Alex actually feel feelings for Maggie, or is this just her wanting to be a friend to her? You couldn't really tell. We see it there around the pool, when Maggie's girlfriend dumped her, and basically, you know that definitely something is going to happen there. She says she's going to go home to drink something stronger, so definitely something's going on with that. So as James and Kara get coffee, a car filled with bank robbers almost hits them. Supergirl flies in to save the day. One of the robbers pulls out a ray gun that knocks Supergirl on her butt. James tries to fight one of the robbers, but he doesn't fare any better than Supergirl. And when Supergirl and James go down for the count, the robbers make their getaway. They run over James's camera in the process. That was a pretty crazy scene, the way that all turned out. But I like that James did try to put up a fight here. He wasn't completely defenseless, and I feel like last season, I wouldn't say that he was defenseless necessarily, but he didn't really do a ton in terms of fighting. There was that episode in the beginning of season 1, but he didn't really do a ton, and I like the direction they're headed with James, where he actually does want to do, fighting and things like that. I like the direction they're going with that. I think overall that's very interesting. So the DO then discovered that the guns were actually alien in origin, but the robbers were actually definitely human. So Cadmus suddenly sends out a transmission claiming that the robbery was the aliens' fault and that not locking up the aliens will only cause more chaos. And I really do agree with that. It is just going to cause more chaos by keeping the aliens out there. But Cadmus, as we know, something I think the season's exploring very well is why we actually need those aliens and things like that. I like the way that's going. So back at Catco, Kara argues with an employee who wants an alien gun to defend himself from superpowered freaks, and obviously Kara's going to get upset about this because, she is in fact an alien and she's going to be on the alien side, and James then breaks up the argument but admits that he doesn't know how he can help Kara with Cadmus because there's just not much he can do. He's not an alien, he doesn't really have any experience with aliens, he's not really aesthetically trained like they are. There's just not really much that James can do. What I like about this episode, though, is that James really starts to feel like he is the odd man out because he is very third wheel. I've said it all this season. James this season has been very third wheel. He's been the boss of Catco, but he hasn't really had anything that substantial to do. So I like that James is really starting to feel like, okay, I want to do something here. I don't just want to be the man that's just standing here doing nothing. He cares about Kara. He cares about John. He cares about all the aliens. He wants to do something about it. And Kara also explains to Mon-El that he can't take advantage of James' assistant, who clearly does have a crush on him, we see. And before Lena stops by to invite Kara and Mon-El to a LexCorp gala, we see Winn then finds out that the robbers are actually staging another attack, so Alex calls Supergirl in to respond. Supergirl disarms one of the robbers, but another robber shoots a cop car into the atmosphere, forcing Supergirl to chase after it and save the police officer stranded inside. Pretty good scene. I like the way that action scene was done, and the Cadmus chief then meets with the robbers and warns them that he's picking targets that are too big. She explains that she actually gave the robbers guns to sow fear and discontent into the populace, and then gives the head robber named Miner this really big gun, which was kind of funny because his name is Miner. She gives him this huge gun to replace the one that Supergirl broke. So you can obviously see why Cadmus is so against them. And I think they did a good job of that. They showed why Cadmus is so upset with the aliens and really what they want to do. I thought overall that was all overall really well done the way they were able to do that. I really did like that overall. So he does get this upgrade and everything. So interesting seeing the way that was done. But we then see that Alex then meets Maggie at the crime scene, and she tries to cheer her up by taking her out on like a non-date, and Maggie blatantly thinks that Alex is hitting on her. She says straight up, "Are you gay?" And this is again something that Alex really hasn't thought about. She claims that she's not gay and then leaves in a hurry, and I like this. I like that Alex is struggling with her sexuality. She's always thought that she was straight. I thought that she was straight. But if they're going this direction where she could be a lesbian, she doesn't really know that, that's overall a very interesting direction to go, and I like where they're headed with that, and I think it definitely would justify, why they're writing the storyline for Alex. I don't want this to just come out of nowhere, so I like this is something that maybe Alex has always thought about, and she hasn't really gone into, and I like the way that's going overall. Definitely very interesting. So at Catco, James then tells Kara that more people want to repeal the Alien Amnesty Act as a result of the recent robberies. So Kara uses her super hearing to find out where Mon-El disappeared to, and to her disgust actually finds him in a storage closet fooling around with James's assistant. Very reminiscent to the scene with Winn and, I can't think of her name, but the girl that Winn liked last season that ended up being, one of the aliens, I can't remember her name right now, but those two those two when they were in the supply closet very much reminded me of that. Kara then chews Mon-El for not fitting in, tells him that if he doesn't want to fit in, he should find another mentor, and I like that Kara and Mon-El are less of, maybe possible love interest and more like brother and sister. It's honestly really interesting the way that is, with Kara, being a lot more experienced and her chewing out Mon-El. I do think she's going to have to step back at some point because Mon-El clearly wants to do his own thing, but at the same time, like I said, she's just a lot more aware of the world, and I don't know why he wouldn't listen to her. I mean, she knows what she's doing. If I was Mon-El, I'd listen to her. I mean, she seems very experienced. She seems like she knows her shit. She knows, like, it seems like what she's talking about. So Kara definitely is a bad teacher. You see, like, she's not definitely doing that great of a job, but I like that she's not completely giving up on Mon-El. I like the way that that's going. I think overall it's very interesting, and I really do like that already. These two aren't completely against each other or anything. She still does have some sort of hope, and I like the way that's going. So James then visits Winn, the DO, to find out if he has any leads. He correctly deduces that the Federal Reserve is actually the next target, so James puts on a hoodie, grabs a baseball bat, and he tries to take on the terrorist group, and Mr. Miner asks what is it with this town and heroes, and Again, James wants to do what he can to fight, even though he can't really. And I like the way that they show that James is kind of in over his head here, because Winn offhandedly mentions that they had a lead on that the robbers were casting the Federal Reserve, but that he thought it was a dead end. So James should got the Federal Reserve just in case and sees robbers break into the bank. Minor gets the upper hand with his giant gun. James uses an impromptu shield to survive, but Minor blasts an entire apartment building to send it crashing down on James. James manages to get all the residents out in time, and then he quickly makes a getaway before the police arrive. So basically, obviously, it didn't go well for James. I didn't think it was going to go well for him just because, again, he's not really used to that kind of thing. And immediately, Winn figures out that James was on the scene last night. And I like the way that Winn isn't dumb here. Like, he knows that it's obviously James. And James explains that he's tired of being a sidekick because he's just not one. He doesn't want to be this sidekick anymore. He wants to be, a hero. He really wants to be. And he actually has Winn to make him a superhero suit and a weapon, because again, all his best friends are heroes. He's just not. And when Winn declines, James says that he'll keep fighting with or without Winn's help, which obviously isn't the best way to go, but at the same time, I like that James is not letting anyone tell him what to do. I like that he's going out on his own, and I get why he thinks that. I mean, even though he's very naive about it, I like that he is doing it with good intentions. It's just, he's not really the one to fight, I've never really seen James as a fighter, and I don't really know where this is really going to go. I think overall this is very interesting where we're headed. The girl's apartment, Alex and Carr then talk about Mike's corporate shortcomings. Alex responds that Mon-El needs to find his own way and can't just be a carbon copy of Supergirl. She wants him to be his own thing. She doesn't just want him to be another version of her, because that's not who he is. He clearly is his own person. And Alex reminds her that when they were kids, Alex tried to make Carr conform to all her likes and dislikes too, and suggests that Carr needs to let Mon-El find himself. And I like the way that this is very much like Alex and Carr, because it's very much how Carr was when she first adjusted to Earth. Mon-El hasn't really acclimated to Earth yet. He's not. He's still new. He still doesn't really know how things work, and Carr, in fact, does. So I like the way we're comparing Mon-El and Carr's relationship to that of Alex and Carr's, which is the strongest relationship the show has. We've seen that many times, and I've said that many times before, that Alex and Carr is one of the strongest things about the show. So Alex says that she wants to tell Carr something, but she gets interrupted when Lena stops by. We don't know what that is. I thought it was going to be her coming out and telling her that maybe she's gay or whatever. I thought that was interesting. But we see that she's talking about her feelings for Maggie and not finding new music. It's not about that. It's definitely about her feelings for Maggie. But Lena stops by the apartment, meets Alex, then she cashes in her favor and asks Carr to get in touch with Supergirl. Lena thinks that she's in danger, and she's right, because Mr. Menard actually wants to target the gala next, we see. He actually says that he wants to attack it. So the head of Cadmus says it's a bad idea, refused to give him any more weaponry, and we don't really know why she doesn't want to target Lena's gala. I thought overall that was interesting, but Lena doesn't want to cancel the party. She just wants Supergirl to be the bouncer. Supergirl again then realizes that she can't attend the party as both Kara and Supergirl, but she's definitely going to try to do that, because that's just how Kara is. She wants to make everyone happy. So basically, Kara brings Winn to the gala to help her pull off Operation Doubtfire, and I love the way she called it Operation Doubtfire, because it was very much like Mrs. Doubtfire. She shows up at the parties, both Kara and Supergirl, and that's something the show is doing really well, is that while we have some really dark stuff, we have some really fun, lighthearted moments, and this scene was actually a lot of fun to watch. After fooling Lena, Kara accepts a dance from Mon-El before Menard's gang of robbers show up. Supergirl fights the robbers. Winn runs under the stage where he sees Lena trying to turn on a device that will shut off the weapons. Winn realizes that Lena actually set up a trap for the robbers and helps her get the device working. So James tries to fight one of the robbers, but Supergirl rushes in to save him before he gets shot, and as the robbers close in on Supergirl, Lena turns on her device, disarms Menard, instantly ending the threat, which was pretty crazy the way they were able to end it so quickly. I don't know why they were able to end it so quickly, but that was pretty well done the way that was, and the way she actually fried his brain and things like that. We see Mr. Menard was actually apprehended. He actually threatened to reveal the identity of the Cadmus representative for a deal, and her voice breaks into his head all of a sudden, and when she drives by the scene, she says, on to the next one. So I like the way that he was defeated very easily, but you definitely know there's more to this. Again, it just seemed like this was another throwaway villain, but that really sets us up for the big reveal at the end of this episode. So as Maggie hauls Minar and hurries getting away, the Cadmus chief kills them remotely before they can give away her identity, which I thought was interesting to see. So Winn shows up at Catco, agrees to help James become a hero. Winn says that he actually realizes that being a hero is addictive and that he would feel bad if James died. He wanted James to be a hero. He get why he wants to be one, and I like the way that Winn actually agreed to build a suit while Carr visits Mon-El. Something I like about James and Winn is that they're a lot more bro this season. What I mean by that is they're a lot more friendly, and it's not just, oh, I like Carr, you like Carr, therefore we can't like each other. They actually have a reason to like each other, and I like this. I like their friendship overall. I think it's one of the high points of the season, and I like the way that that's going. Definitely interesting stuff there. She was too excited to realize that she was being overbearing. It's great that he's different, though. We see, she admits that Mon-El can make her own choices, and I like that she's letting Mon-El be his own person. I like the direction that that's going. Like I said, he's different than her, and she'll still be a mentor instead of teaching him. She's just going to mother him, basically, which is essentially what she's done. She's just going to do less of, oh, be like this, do this, be like me, because she wants him to be his own person, and I like that. I like the way that's going, and she encourages him to find his own path. So I like where Kara and Mon-El are headed. Alex visits Maggie at the alien bar, and this was a very interesting scene, the way this was done. She worked through her feelings in the past half hour, tells Maggie that she's not very good at dating or being intimate, but maybe she hasn't totally worked through it, but definitely wants to try, and, she's always tried relationships, but she's kind of struggled, and I think she's really starting to wonder, is she really a lesbian? I think she's really starting to struggle with that, and I like the direction that that's head. Very interesting there, and I like that they're really taking their time with this. They're not dragging this out. They have 23 episodes to really go into Alex becoming a lesbian and if she is a lesbian, struggling with her sexuality. I think is honestly a very interesting storyline. It's not really something we've seen on these superhero on these superhero TV shows, and I like that they're doing that. It's a little bit different. I mean, we've had gay characters, like we've had Sarah, and we've had Captain, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now, but I'm talking about from the Flash. He was the, he's the director of the PD, and he's gay and everything. We've had those characters, but we haven't really had someone like Maggie before, where she's very unaware of her sexuality, and I like the direction that it's going. Overall, it's very interesting. But then we get to the ending of this episode, which the ending of this episode was truly awesome. Supergirl arrives at LexCorp. She says that Lena was brave for springing the trap on Minar's gang, and suddenly we see the head of Cadmus actually shows up to meet Lena, and after Supergirl flies away, Lena reveals the head of Cadmus is actually her mother. Thus, we now have the villain of the season, also the reason why the head of Cadmus wanted her to keep the party going, and that is the way the episode ends. Really good stuff overall, but let's get in this episode and where I think the show is going to go for the rest of the season. So yes, this was very much a plot building type of episode. I think there were a lot of things going on, but like I said, I think it was a little bit more focused than last week. Last week there were just like a million different things going on, and this week I thought was a little bit more focused, with James and with Mon-El and then with Alex. Just all this stuff is getting very interesting, but like I said, we seem to now have our villain this season. I don't think it's Lena. I think Lena we can trust. I think they've already shown that Lena is different than Lex, but at the same time, I mean, if this is her mother, I don't really trust Lena. I mean, her mother's probably going to try to get Lena on her side. So the big question is Lena actually going to give in to her mother, or is she going to be her own person? That's something that I'm very interested in seeing, is does Lena really want to be with her? I mean, she has this whole thing going on with Mon-El right now, so who knows? I mean, it's really, I don't know where she's going to go, but that's going to be interesting to see where she ends up going. With Lena, I'm looking forward to seeing the way that whole storyline turns out, and how long is it going to take Kara to figure it out, because things got figured out really quickly last season. If I remember correctly, they figured out very quickly that Astra was the one behind it all, so I feel like this is going to take not that long to figure out either. I hope they don't drag this out, but I'm looking forward to seeing the way this is going to go. I like that Winn agreed to help James. I like their bonding overall. Like I said, I like that they're a lot more closer this season. And I like that in general, Winn seems to be a lot more on the good side with James. Like, okay, I'll help you. I understand why you want to do this. I like the direction that friendship is headed, and I'm hoping that James does make a smart choice, because, yeah, I do want to see James obviously live and things like that, but at the same time, I get why he wants to help his friends. I mean, he very much feels like the odd man out. He feels like they're doing stuff, and he's not really doing anything to help them. I totally understand why James feels this way, so I like the direction that James is headed there. Interesting stuff there. And I like that Kara decided to step back for Mon-El. I like their whole relationship. I like it's very mother-daughter, because I thought it was going to be, oh, Mon-El's going to be a love interest for Kara, but I like that Kara, it doesn't really seem like she wants a boyfriend this season. She doesn't really need a boyfriend this season. That's something that a lot of people complain about last season, that, oh, she wants to be independent, but yet she wants a boyfriend. And I like that this season she really is focusing on herself. I think that's something the show's doing really well, is just making her a lot more, not feminine, that's not the word, it's not all about feminism, but just being a lot more independent, and I think that's something the show does really well, and I'm looking forward to seeing the way their whole relationship's gonna go. I like that overall. And then Alex's storyline I'm honestly really intrigued by now. I didn't really know where they were gonna go with this, but I like that Alex is really wondering, am I really a lesbian? Is this really who I want to be? How long have I been this way? Just all of that's just really interesting to me. I'm looking forward to seeing really where that's going to go. This is clearly something that Alex hasn't really thought about, so the fact that it's coming into her mind, I really do love where they're headed with it. I think overall that's very interesting, and there's so much they can do with that storyline, with Alex wondering if she's gay or not. Maybe bring Maxwell Lord back into the fold, because where the hell is Lord? I mean, we had that whole cliffhanger with him last season, and he hasn't been on the season since, so I feel like that's intentional. There's definitely a reason why he's not involved, and I feel like we're going to get a twist that he's probably involved with Cadmus. I just have this feeling that that's what's going to happen, but we'll have to see. But that's my review. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode overall. Loved your thoughts on it. Are you enjoying the season so far? I'm really loving this season, and I will see you guys in my next, which will be for another movie review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.